everyone, welcome to a patch video for 9.18. This is a little bit later than usual because we've now got 2 days worth of stats for the patch, so we're going to focus a little less on the actual changes and more about the effects they had. Let me know if you like this or not. I like the video, leave a comment down below, but it's stuff like this really. So we now see the Aatrox change. We already knew it was kind of like a relatively big nerf, but if you look at the win rate, it absolutely dropped after the patch. The actual changes for Aatrox were first of all to his passive, so he heals for 25% of the damage dealt when stabbing a minion instead of the full amount, but the healing versus other targets are completely the same. The other change was to his Q, the Darking Blade. Damage to minions has been reduced. It used to be 50 to 100% based on level. It's now going to be 40% at all levels. It makes his lane phase and also his mid game a little bit weaker, so you can trade easier against him and he can't push you in as easily. Like his wave clear was actually pretty good before with his Q, but that's going to be worse. And then when you fight him, his regen afterwards is going to be worse as well, so you stand more chance of getting a trade off and then setting up for a kill afterwards. As you can see though, he went from pretty much like a 50% win rate, which is pretty good, pretty normal, down to about 45 right now. And honestly, the play rate has dropped as well. So this is a really big nerf for Aatrox, and he's actually pretty bad now. They're definitely going to have to buff him at some point. They might even hotfix him as well because this is really bad. But yeah, you might want to avoid Aatrox for now. We have 3 big changes. The second one is to Akali, and she was nerfed as well. So her ultimate cooldown is going to be increased early. It's actually going up 40 seconds. It eventually goes back down to where it was normally. I'm at rank 3, but like 160-second cooldown rank 1. That's almost 3 minutes. That is so high. Also, the stun on the ultimate, the first part of that has been removed, and the ultimate, the second part of that, the base maximum damage has been decreased early game. That is 60 off rank 1, so you're losing half a second stun, 60 damage, and you're going to have a 40-second higher cooldown. If we have a look over the stats, so last patch she was about 48% win rate, something like that, which isn't actually too bad for Akali because she's quite a skill champion, so they never have the highest win rates anyway. After the patch though, that went from like 48 down to about 44, which is really bad. Like she's one of the worst win rate champions with Aatrox now in the game. Her play rate has also dropped, actually getting to about half of what it was before, so that's a really bad sign that like they actually are a lot weaker, and even people that play Akali don't want to play her anymore. The ban rate is going down as well, so when you play against Akali, you don't feel as bad about it, but these were really hefty nerfs. They're probably going to have to buff her eventually at some point, but you might want to avoid her. The last biggest change is to Nunu. Now, this is weird because actually he's still quite good. His win rate right now is about 52 to 53%, which is actually really, really high. The thing is, before the patch though, it was about 56 to 55% win rate. So basically, Nunu is still good, but he is a lot worse than last patch. The nerfs to him were base stats decreased, basically. Like health growth is going down, armor growth, mana is going down a little bit, and mana regen. Also with his E, the snowball, the slow now scales up to that point, so it's 30 to 50% instead of being 50% at every rank. The idea was to hit his ganking phase a little bit, so like he wasn't going to be as good early into the game with the base stats and with the slow amount as well, but he is going to be hit a mid game a little bit, and then late game he falls off anyway. People aren't playing him as much anymore, but he's actually still a really good champion. Like his win rate is actually crazy, even though it did take like a 3% drop, which is actually pretty big. Next up, we're going to go into our kind of like medium category, medium effects category, I guess. These are the ones that did have an effect. They're not huge, but they're not small either, so it will affect how you play them. First up, we're going to be looking at Evelynn. So this is actually really weird because her win rate has decreased and her play rate has increased. Even though it looks really weird, what this actually means is that a lot of people have read the patch notes and thought, oh my god, this is such a big buff. Evelynn's going to be OP now. Even if they're not very good at her, they're going to play her and bring that win rate down. I bet you if we look at just like actual good Evelynn players, her win rate has probably gone up a fair chunk because this actually was a really good buff. That buff was to her ultimate, so the empowered damage amplifier and the maximum empowered damage have been increased. It used to be 100% bonus against enemies below 30% of their maximum health, and now that is 140%. In terms of actual numbers, that means it's now 300 to 900 and more AP used as well instead of 250 to 750. The stats are a little bit weird for this one to look at properly, but basically the play rate has gone up, the ban rate has gone up as well, which would imply that this champion is really annoying to play against and actually pretty powerful. Even if the win rate has gone down, it probably just means that a lot of people who aren't very good at Evelynn are picking her up again, and they're bringing it down, even though the good ones are even better. Next up, we're going to look at an Echo buff. The stats for this one aren't as obvious as well. A little bit more than the Evelynn one, though. So this buff was around his W. The cost has been decreased. It decreased by 20 mana, which is actually pretty good. And the stun duration is the important part, up half a second to 2.25. There are 2 sides to this buff, especially with the stats. So the first one we're going to look at is the mid lane. This is the most popular. It's about twice as popular as a jungle role at the moment. And it went up by like 2.5%, which is actually pretty a lot for Echo. The other side of this is looking at jungle Echo, because these buffs should be pretty good for him. And he actually actually is a pretty good jungler already. So the play rate for Jungle Echo actually pretty much doubled. It didn't seem to do that much for the win rate, probably because more people are playing him, so eventually it will even out. But basically, it actually looks like pretty good buffs, and we can tell that just because of the play rate and because of the ban rate, and the win rate hasn't moved, which is a good sign. One of these smaller buffs that we had that I actually didn't think would make a big effect was to Kale. So her E-based passive damage has been increased. It's actually only up 5, so it shouldn't really have had a massive effect. It does play into like her passive as well. It's not just her E, like it's on her basic attacks, which then applies to everybody. The reason I'm putting this into the medium effect part is because she's being played now a little bit more every single day. She's actually winning more every day as well. And when both those go up together, that's a really good sign. Kale actually has a really good win rate as well. Like I didn't realize this. She had a little update, remember, and they changed her passive around and stuff like that. But since that phase, like even though people don't really play her much, she's actually doing really well. Over this patch, I think we're going to see a lot more Kale. Most likely, as people see how good she is, like a few people playing her now, they're going to do well, really good win rate, and then more people are going to pick it up and realize she's actually very strong. Last up in our medium effect kind of group is to Ziya, and this one is the other way. So this was a nerf. Her base armor was decreased by 3, not huge, but her ultimate cooldown was increased, and that's the bigger part. It's up 20 seconds at every single rank, but it is now a 160-second cooldown rank 1, which is a really long time, almost 3 minutes, like the Akali change, and that's so long for lane phase. They're basically targeting how safe she is. You can bully her a little bit more, do more damage with the armor reduction, and then hopefully kill her more because she shouldn't be able to get out for free with her ultimate. As we can see as well, it did have an effect. It dropped about 2% roughly, which is actually quite a lot. She went from like one of the top 80 carries to now about average. The play rate has gone down, the ban rate has gone down with it, as well as the win rate. So with all three going down, it looks like she is just a fair bit weaker in this patch, and probably not top tier anymore, but she's definitely not bad either. Now we're going to move into our small change category. So these aren't massive, but they have had some sort of effect on the champion at least. The first one is to Kaylynn, and it sounds kind of weird because it's a 2 AD increase, and it's not really that much. Like that buff was pretty minimal. One thing that has really done though is made her early game just that little bit better, and she was already pretty strong as well. But I think with the fall of Ziya, Kaylynn's kind of come back up again even more than she was before. Her win rate has jumped up a little bit, but that is with her play rate increasing by like 4%, which is actually a fair amount as well. So she's getting more popular and she's winning more, and definitely a good pick now. Another AD carry in our small changes part is for Kai'Sa. So I didn't think this was going to change much at all. Her E bonus attack speed has been decreased later. The weird thing is it's actually dropped her by about 1% roughly. So it's not massive, but it has lowered her down. And this is the first time where she is a fair bit below a 50% win rate. The play rate is the same, and so is the ban rate. So it's obviously not that bad at all. People are still playing her. It's not really a huge change. Her lane phase is still going to be pretty deadly. But as you get to your mid to late game, she will be doing less, especially when she goes in and just stands there and right clicks. The next one is a little bit weird. So Misfortune's E got buffed. At early ranks, the slow is going to be more potent now. So it's 40% start instead of 28%. And really, it's just like if you have it as your first rank and you leave it there, it should slow a little bit more and set up the rest of your trade easier. I thought this was going to have a reasonable effect. It didn't look like it at all. But if we actually switch over to gold, and then if we go down to silver as well, and pretty much everything below plat, actually, it was a pretty good buff. Slightly more people are playing her. She's actually already popular at lower ranks anyway, but she is winning more now as well. So this seems like a pretty good buff, but only at lower ranks. Another smaller one that we had that I kind of forgot about as well was the Teemo. So his Q and W got quality of life changes. The Q blind now will see a green light around their screen when they're affected by Teemo's Q. So you can kind of like tell when you're blinded. Also your W will now have an icon above it to show its active duration. And then your ultimate, like the mushroom, adjusts with more charges and has an infinite bounce now. There are lots of other things as well thrown in here, but actually like it seemed to do pretty well. I ignored the last little win rate on the 12th because that day isn't complete yet, but it didn't really seem to change the win rate at all. What it did change though is people are playing him more now and actually getting banned more every day. So the good thing is that he probably is a little bit stronger with more people playing him again, and the win rate staying the same. That's a pretty good sign. So next up is a bit of a weird one actually. So we had a kind of Annie update, right? Her E now grants decay move speed. The damage reduction has been decreased to compensate, and the cooldown has been increased. Having move speed on her E should help her in theory get into fights a bit more, kite a bit better and everything. So it should have been a really good change. Turns out actually her win rate dropped after these changes, even though her play rate increased just a tiny bit. Like actually doubled, but this kind of 1% to 2%. So it's not a huge change. The win rate has kind of been all over the place. So it's really hard to tell like exactly how she is at the moment. You can see there are quite a few dips and ups and downs and stuff, but it looks like she's actually a little bit worse now in 9.18, even though this was supposed to be a buff. Last up in our small changes is one to Zoe. Her passive damage is increased by 6. It's kind of the early lane phase that they're really targeting to make that a little bit stronger, and they're not really touching a one-shot burst potential at all though. It did seem to have a cool effect. It didn't really change too much. People are playing her a little bit more, and she's winning a little bit more as well. So it was a small buff. It seemed to be pretty good, but her early lane phase seems really strong now. There are 4 more changes to Aurelion, Jhin, Lee Sin, and Warwick, but they haven't really had any effect at all. Their win rate hasn't really gone up at all, and neither has their play rate or their ban rate. If you play the champion a lot, you might feel them. It might be pretty nice, but it isn't really going to change too much. Let me know what you think of doing this like a day after the patch drops, so who you can kind of like abuse if they've been buffed, or who you need to avoid if they've been nerfed. I think it's a bit more useful, but let me know what you guys think, because you're the ones who obviously watch it. But thank you for watching until the very end of the video, and for now, I will leave you with robots.